Episode 484 of 360 Wrestling Fanatic is live, and tonight I will be talking about the WWE Payback Premium Live event and tonight's episode of AEW Saturday Collision. Who walked out of Payback as the World Heavyweight Champion and the WWE Undisputed Tag Team Champions, and who survived the Steel Cage match, Trish Stratus or Becky Lynch. We will talk about all that right here, right now. 360 Wrestling Fanatic. Hey, wrestling fanatics. Welcome to this Saturday night episode of 360 Wrestling Fanatic, episode 484, and it's a special live, premium live event night episode of 360 Wrestling Fanatic. Thank you everyone for tuning in to this special live episode. As I said in that preview there, we'll be talking about tonight's WWE Payback Premium Live event and also tonight's episode of AEW Saturday Collision, the go-home episode of Collision before tomorrow night's AEW All-Out pay-per-view. And also, after I finish recapping both Payback and Collision, I will talk more about the news involving CM Punk being gone from AEW. I know I did that quick breaking news thing earlier, but I will talk more about it once I finish the two recaps on this episode tonight. But without any further ado, let's start off this episode of 360 Wrestling Fanatic, because it's live on this Saturday night. And WWE Payback was live tonight from Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania at the PPG Paints Arena. Our commentators tonight, Michael Cole and Corey Graves. We start things off on Payback with the Steel Cage match. WWE Hall of Famer Trish Stratus taking on the man Becky Lynch. And I thought this was quite an entertaining match here. And at one point, Trish actually gets quite a nasty bump on her head. Trish hits the Widow's Peak shades of Victoria Lisa Marie Varon. And also Becky Lynch, shades of Lita, hits the Twist of Fate. And Trish tries to escape, climbing over the cage, and her legs get stuck on the top, and for a few seconds she hangs upside down from the top of the cage. And then Becky hits a superplex, and a little bit after, Becky Lynch tries to escape the cage door, but then Zoe Stark slams the door on the head of the man, and that gets a 2 count. And Becky Lynch hits the manhandle slam for a 2 count, but then hits another one from the top rope, and Becky Lynch defeats Trish Stratus at 19 minutes, 59 seconds. Good opening match here. I'd give this one 3.5 out of 5 suplexes that kick things off here on Payback. And then after the match, Zoe Starks enters the cage, and Trish, of course, upset after the loss, slaps her while she's trying to talk to her. But then Zoe Stark hits her with the Z360. And next, we see the host of WWE Payback, John Cena, make his way out to a ring. He talks about how he has never been a host before, so he makes himself the special referee for the match between The Miz and LA Knight. And The Miz comes out not happy about John Cena being the special referee. And The Miz talks about him being a better host than Cena, like the time when he hosted WrestleMania. And The Miz points out that Cena doesn't even have a referee shirt, but luckily somebody at ringside from the timekeeper's position over there just happens to have an extra referee shirt laying around. They hand Cena one, and now he has a referee shirt. And now it's time for The Miz versus LA Knight with John Cena as the special referee. At one point, at the beginning of the match, The Miz tries to leave, but then Knight goes after him, and The Miz tries to catch him with a clothesline, but Knight ducks and then sends him back to the ring. But before then, though, actually, they do brawl on the floor a little bit. And then, actually, during this match, John Cena calling it down the middle, and not only The Miz kind of getting in his face and upset with him, but also LA Knight did too a little during the match. And at one point when LA Knight is getting in the face of Cena, The Miz hits LA Knight with the skull-crushing finale for a 2 count. But the finish of the match sees Knight hit the blunt force trauma to defeat The Miz at 15 minutes, 47 seconds. And then at the entrance, John Cena raises the hand of LA Knight as they go to the back. Pretty good match here. I wouldn't say that it was anything real great, but It definitely wasn't bad though. I'd give this 3 out of 5 ring bells. And our next match here at Payback is for the WWE United States Championship, and it is sponsored by Cinnamon Toast Crunch. Austin Theory challenging the WWE United States Champion, the legendary WWE Hall of Famer Rey Mysterio. At one point, Theory has control of Mysterio and starts to rip the mask. Mysterio attempts the 619, but Theory is able to avoid it. And a little bit after that, Theory goes for the A-Town down, but Mysterio gets him with a roll-up, defeats Austin Theory at 9 minutes, 56 seconds. Pretty good match. And I'd give this one 2.5 out of 5 ring bells. Still United States Champion Rey Mysterio. The WWE Undisputed Tag Team Championships are on the line next in a Pittsburgh Steel City street fight. It is the Judgment Day, Finn Balor and Damian Priest taking on the WWE Undisputed Tag Team Champions Kevin Owens and Sami Zayn. They start off brawling on the floor at ringside. There are weapons involved, of course. Chairs, kendo sticks, garbage cans. They fight into the crowd. And then at this time we see Dirty Dom, Dominic Mysterio, get involved to help his Judgment Day teammates. And they get a little distracted, not paying attention. And then we see Owens and Zayn in the penalty box with Pittsburgh Penguins jerseys on. Kevin Owens wearing a Mario Lemieux jersey. And Sami Zayn wearing a Sidney Crosby jersey. And they brawl back into the ring. Zayn hits a Blue Thunder Bomb on chairs for a 2 count. And they end up brawling through the crowd again. They go over to where the kickoff panel was. Zayn gets on the kickoff panel desk and hits a somersault senton off the desk onto Judgment Day on the floor. And then we see Kevin Owens and Dominic Mysterio. Owens gets up in the stands and hits a swanton on Dominic through the table. And Sami Zayn at this point is by himself 2-on-1 in the ring. But his partner Kevin Owens does eventually get back in the ring. Hits a stunner on Damian Priest. And Sami Zayn hits a Helluva Kick. And at this time, J.D. McDonough interferes. And Rhea Ripley makes her way out. And she spears Kevin Owens through the barricade. And looks like Sami Zayn's gonna get the victory. Dominic Mysterio runs into the ring, hits him with the Money in the Bank briefcase. Balor pins Zayn, and we have new WWE Undisputed Tag Team Champions, the Judgment Day, Finn Balor and Damian Priest. Great match here. I thought could be, in my opinion anyway, candidate for match of the night. Definitely was impressed by this one. Better than I thought it was going to be. 20 minutes, 29 seconds. And I have to admit, was a little surprised, like I talked about this morning on Good Morning Wrestling Fans. I expected there was going to be some problems between Damian Priest and Finn Balor, which was going to cost the Judgment Day the match, but I was completely wrong. The opposite happened. New tag team champions, the Judgment Day. Very good match here. And next up, the Grayson Waller effect with special guest, the American Nightmare, Cody Rhodes. And still not a fan of the Grayson Waller effect. Not really feeling Grayson Waller too much. Sorry if that upsets anyone. But Cody Rhodes talks about something he saw a few weeks ago. And he says he pulled some strings and he's bringing back Jey Uso to WWE, but now he will be a part of Monday Night Raw going forward. He even has new theme music. I hope I'm not messing this up too badly, but it says something like Only Me now, day one-ish. And it's pretty much the same song, but they changed it to Only Me Now or something like that. And then we see Jey Uso make his way out, show some respect to Cody Rhodes. And Grayson Waller starts insulting Jey Uso. And Jey hits him with a super kick. So I'm guessing we will see Jey Uso this Monday night on the Labor Day episode of Monday Night Raw. Next up is the Women's World Championship match. Raquel Rodriguez challenging Rhea Ripley. At one point, Dominic gets involved. And then Rhea goes after the bad knee of Raquel Rodriguez, hits the Riptide for the win to retain the Women's World Championship at 17 minutes, 21 seconds. I thought this was a good match. Went longer than I thought it would, but still pretty good here. Rhea Ripley getting the win. I'd say 3.5 out of 5 ring bells. And like Michael Cole and Corey Graves said on commentary, Dominic Mysterio was definitely the MVP of the Judgment Day tonight. And then we see John Cena in the back. And he's playing that same character that WWE, when they did that ridiculous, silly thing, Southpaw Regional Wrestling. Not to be too negative, but I thought that was one of the worst things WWE has ever done. Was not a fan of it. And he interviews the new WWE Undisputed Tag Team Champions, Finn Balor and Damian Priest. Balor starts off the interview saying the champs are here. And then Cena throws it back to Cole and Graves. And now it is time for the main event of Payback 2023 for the World Heavyweight Championship. Seth freaking Rollins defending against Shinsuke Nakamura. And I really liked Nakamura's entrance. Started off with this cartoon, and then we got Nakamura narrating it with the subtitles. I thought this entrance by Nakamura tonight was fantastic. Was a big fan of it. Definitely entrance of the night. And then the match begins. Starts off pretty good. And then eventually Nakamura goes for the Kinshasa at one point. But then Rollins hits a super kick. And then the finish sees Rollins get the stomp to defeat Shinsuke Nakamura and retain the World Heavyweight Championship at 25 minutes, 57 seconds. And that was tonight's WWE Payback Premium Live event. And for the main event, I would give it 4 out of 5 ring bells. And overall, as a show, I thought it was very good. I don't know if I would say real great, but I'd give it 8.5 out of 5 ring bells. Was a pretty good show. I enjoyed it. And if for some reason you missed it, I definitely recommend checking it out on either Peacock or the WWE Network. Depends where you are. And now it is time to go over to TNT for tonight's episode of AEW Saturday Night Collision, because Saturday night's all right for fighting. And we start things off with Tony Schiavone in the ring, and he welcomes Absolute Ricky Starks. Starks calls out Ricky Steamboat for the strap match tomorrow night at All Out. And we get Ricky the Dragon Steamboat, the legend, coming out to his WCW theme song. Steamboat says that he has a contract and he gives it to Tony Schiavone for a no disqualification strap match. Stark signs the contract and Ricky Steamboat says everyone knows him as the Dragon, but there's another dragon. And then we see the return to AEW of the American Dragon, Bryan Danielson. And it will be Bryan Danielson versus Absolute Ricky Starks in a strap match tomorrow night at All Out, live on pay-per-view. I'm looking forward to that one. Definitely glad to see Bryan Danielson back in AEW. And our first match of the night, we have the AEW Trios Championships on the line. The new AEW Trios Champions, the acclaimed Max Caster, Anthony Bowens, and Billy Gunn, defending against former Jericho Appreciation Society members Daniel Garcia and 2.0, Daddy Magic Matt Menard, and Cool Hand Angelo Parker. I thought this was a pretty good match here. Caster pins Parker to get the win. I'd say 2.5 out of 5 ring bells for this one. Next up, Lexi Nair is in the back with Dark Order, Alex Reynolds, John Silver, and Evil Uno. They will be challenging Better Than You, Baby, MJF, and Adam Cole for the Ring of Honor World Tag Team titles tomorrow at All Out. Alex Reynolds actually talks about how he had a hand in training MJF. And I thought this was actually a pretty good interview from Dark Order. I do like how they're making them more serious now. But I definitely see MJF and Cole retaining the titles tomorrow. And next up, the former Ring of Honor World Tag Team Champions are in action. Aussie Open defeat Nick Wayne and Commander. And then next, Tony Schiavone is in the ring to talk to Nick Wayne. And he is, of course, upset for being pinned in that match. And he says he's also upset that Darby Allin could forgive AR Fox for what he did to him. And then we see Darby Allin come out and he explains to Nick Wayne that something happened where he got upset with Nick's father, Buddy Wayne, and he did not speak to him, his wife, or Nick for quite a while. And he said AR Fox also helped train him too. So he was just going to let go, not hold on to it. And he said tomorrow he is challenging for the AEW TNT Championship. And he wants Nick to be in his corner. And then at this time we see the man who thinks he is the TNT champion, Christian Cage, with the actual TNT champion, Luchasaurus. And he insults Nick Wayne and his mother some more. So tomorrow, Darby Allin and Luchasaurus for the TNT Championship at All Out. And when we come back, Tony Schiavone is in the ring again. Talk about the legendary, or tattoo I should say, the legendary basketball player, Dennis Rodman. And before he can say anything though, he's interrupted by Jeff Jarrett, Jay Lethal, Sanjay Dutt, Saddam Singh, and Karen Jarrett. And Saddam Singh has a basketball with him. And Jeff Jarrett talks about their past in WCW. And he talks about how Dennis Rodman has something in common with each of them. And then Dennis Rodman speaks, talks about how he's back in Chicago for the first time in 13 years, I believe it was. And then Sanjay Dutt clears everybody else out of the ring to try to talk them into joining them, like Jarrett was trying to get him to join. But then at that time, Rodman grabs Dutt by the throat, and then everybody else gets in the ring and circles Rodman. But then we get the Acclaimed and Billy Gunn to make the save, and Max Caster gets on the mic and challenges them to a Trios Championship match right here tonight on Collision. And Billy Gunn, though, talks about his old age, and he says he already wrestled once tonight. So he challenges them for tomorrow night. And that match will take place on the All Out 0 Hour. Also, Dennis Rodman will be in the corner of the Acclaimed and Billy Gunn. And next up, trios match. Outcasts, the new AEW World Women's Champion, Saraya, Ruby Soho, and Toni Storm taking on the team of Dr. Britt Baker, DMD, Hikaru Shida, and the AEW TBS champion, Chris Statlander. I thought this was a pretty good match here. Soho pins Britt to get the win for the Outcasts. I'd say 2.5 out of 5 ring bells. Ruby Soho will challenge Chris Statlander for the AEW TBS Championship tomorrow night on All Out. Looking forward to that match. I'm sure that will be a good one. And next up, Powerhouse Hobbs is in action the night before his match against Miro tomorrow. He takes on GPA and destroys him in just seconds, getting the win. After the match, we see the Redeemer Miro, and he comes down. The two big men start going at it. They go to the outside, and Powerhouse Hobbs goes over the guardrail and exits through the crowd. I think that'll be a pretty good match to see tomorrow night. And this week's main event on Saturday, Collision, representing Bullet Club Gold, Switchblade Jay White taking on one half of the AEW World Tag Team Champions, FTR's Dax Harwood. Pretty good match here. There's some interference from Bullet Club Gold, but then Jay White hits the Blade Runner in the ring on Dax Harwood to get the win. And Bullet Club Gold starts to attack FTR, but then the Young Bucks make their way out. I believe the first time they have been on Collision, to make the save for FTR. And no surprise here, this did get some boos and CM Punk chants from the Chicago crowd. And this time, the Young Bucks offer handshakes to FTR, since after their match at All In London last Sunday, FTR offered the handshakes and the Young Bucks refused. This time, it was actually FTR refusing the handshakes. And that was tonight's AEW Saturday Collision. I thought it was a pretty good episode. The last stop before All Out tomorrow. And before I wrap up the podcast for tonight, I said I was going to talk about the news. And I know I did a little quick. I don't know if I would actually call it a podcast or not, but came on for some quick breaking news earlier today. And that was that it's official. CM Punk is gone from All Elite Wrestling. It was announced today that he is officially gone from the company. And like I said earlier, there was last year's brawl at All Out with the Elite. And then even since he came back this time, there was a couple incidences where got backstage with Ryan Nemeth, and the 1 week after Collision went off the air, he got on the mic and started talking about Hangman Adam Page. And the most recent one, he got into a backstage altercation with Jack Perry at All in London, which led to him being released from his contract. And I don't know, I haven't really heard too many people talk about it just yet. Haven't listened to any podcasts or anything about it just yet. This could be just me, but I think with all that has happened, and I am a big CM Punk fan, but I think with everything that has happened now, that this is probably the best move for CM Punk to be gone from AEW. The best thing for AEW, and maybe even the best thing for CM Punk as well. And also tonight, during Collision, Cash Wheeler did the X real quick during FTR's entrance. And I'm sure I would not be surprised at all if there is more news that comes out about this in the next couple days or so. So there was some talk about maybe kind of last minute CM Punk maybe could show up at All Out and be a part of it after all. But that is definitely not happening now. So that's all for this episode of 360 Wrestling Fanatic, episode 482, or 484, sorry about that. Thank you for tuning in, everyone. Remember, as always, if you have any questions or comments, or tonight, leave your feedback for WWE Payback and AEW Saturday Collision. And if you listen to this podcast, especially if you're listening live right now, or if you listen before tomorrow night, leave your comments, your feedback, and not only that, but your predictions for AEW All Out tomorrow night. Like I said, if you listen before tomorrow night, you can leave your predictions. And remember, I will try to have another live episode of 360 Wrestling Fanatic tomorrow night after All Out, whenever that pay-per-view finishes. But before then, I will be right here for the Sunday episode of Good Morning Wrestling Fans, and I will preview AEW All Out. So once again, that's it for this episode of 360 Wrestling Fanatic. Thank you very much, everyone, for tuning in tonight, and hope everybody tunes in tomorrow for Good Morning Wrestling Fans, and also the live episode of 360 Wrestling Fanatic tomorrow night, right after AEW All Out. But definitely a big thank you for everyone tuning in live for this special episode of 360 Wrestling Fanatic. Hope everyone enjoyed WWE Payback and AEW Collision tonight. Have a great night, everyone, and I will talk to you tomorrow morning for Good Morning Wrestling Fans. But for now, I am Lance, and I am a wrestling fanatic.